certain region, but what does endemic also mean? Local. So when endemic, we're talking about infectious organisms. Endemic means they're always around at relatively low levels. So what would an endemic organism be, or an endemic disease be for El Paso? That always comes up. Blank is endemic in El Paso. It's endemic in a lot of places, but it's really pretty big here.
Why would you say that?
Huh? TB might be. Rabies is a big one.
What?
Oh yeah, rabies is always around El Paso. Always in, but it's endemic in a lot of places. But it's always around a low level. Sporadic is going to be a small, isolated, short-lived outbreak. Okay, sporadic outbreak. Not that many cases, usually individuals, things like food poisoning, or you may have some sewage water that gets into drinking water, something that's really relatively small, relatively isolated, relatively short-lived. Endemic is going to be a quick, still relatively short-lived outbreak, but it's going to be a lot of people come down with it really fast. Epidemic, did I say endemic again?
Yeah,
Epidemic, I'm sorry. So flu is going to be an epidemic, right? It pops up all over the places, and a lot of people get it really fast, but how long does it stick around for? Not that long, not individual areas. Okay? You have a flu season. And pandemic means what?
It sticks around for a long time?
It what?
Sticks around for a long time?
That's not so much sticks around a long time. It's more geographic distribution. Worldwide. Things are pandemic when they leave different continents. Epidemics are going to be in the same continent. So here's an epidemic in, what is that, Colombia and Venezuela? Ecuador? Yeah, Ecuador. Right.
So you said flu was what?
Which one? Flu? What would flu be?
Pandemic.
Actually, it's a pandemic, right? Because it spreads all the way around the world. Okay. How about Ebola? Would that be?
Epidemic.
That'd be an epidemic, because a lot of people can get it pretty quick and it burns out pretty fast. Bigger than sporadic. In fact, they just had another Ebola flare-up somewhere. I think it's not, it doesn't make that much news anymore. It's not that big a deal, like, oh, well, it's just Ebola again. All right, so again, an epidemic is a rapid spread of infectious disease to a large number of people in a given population with a short period of time, usually about 2 weeks or less. When it comes in, it flares up really fast. Okay? So an example of meningococcal infections, an attack rate in excess of 15 cases per 100,000 people for 2 consecutive weeks would be considered an epidemic of that. I'm not going to pin you guys down to numbers, but here's Ebola epidemic right here. New cases per week. That'd be fun of that. All right. Notifiable, we're going to go over notifiable. When you guys get into hospitals, clinics, wherever, there's certain diseases that are notifiable diseases. You are required by law to notify your local health district. Okay? Diseases which physicians are required to report it. If you don't report it, you can actually get in trouble. Morbidity rate is the number of people affected in relation to the total population in a given period of time. So that's going to be, basically morbidity means what? Illness, right? So the morbidity rate is going to be how many people are going to be sick at a given time. Mortality rate is the number of deaths from a disease in relation to the population at a given time. How many people are going to, what's the mortality rate for influenza? It's going to be X number of people, right? Per 100,000. These are notifiable diseases, guys. Which hospital physicians and other healthcare workers are required to report cases to state health department and then forward the data on to the CDC. Awful lot of them up there. AIDS, anthrax, parvovirus, botulism, brucellosis. Anything on here you think's a little bit weird? Listeriosis, legionellosis, FA, hemolytic uremic syndrome, post-diarrheal, hantavirus. Smallpox, toxic shock, we'll talk about that later, pertussis, plague.
Lyme disease.
Anything on here you think's a little bit weird? They look pretty reportable to me. Anyway, tetanus is, we want to keep track of tetanus. Alright. Diseases are new, emerging infectious diseases, so an emerging disease What's a re-emerging disease? What's an emerging disease? Let's talk about it. A disease that are new, increasing in incidence, and showing the potential to increase in the near future. Most of them are going to be zoonotic. Why? Right, and what else? Not only have a reservoir, but they're emerging, so if it was something that was a human, it would probably already what?
Been discovered.
Probably would be here already. Most of these, in things like AIDS, HIV, were originally zoonotic diseases that actually jump, what's called jumping species, right? So viral origin and likely to be vector-borne, right? Contributing factors, genetic recombination. E. coli, where you get O157, or influenza, where you get what? What happens, I say, happens every year to the flu. Why do you have to get your flu shot every year? It's called genetic recombination. It gets inside of pigs and birds, and they mix their genomes up, okay? Evolution of new strains. You got a new strain of cholera. Widespread use of antibiotics. Antibiotic resistance, that's what we talked about. In changes in weather patterns. Anybody ever heard of hantavirus? Where is it? Where? It's in mice, yeah, but where geographically, do you know? It actually sprung up several years ago as a new and emerging virus that they found out it's been around forever. It is everywhere now, but originally they thought it wasn't. It sprung up in the Four Corners region on the Navajo reservation, actually. And what they did is two couples went in and opened up their spring cabins. And what do you do when you open up a spring cabin? What I talked about, dust and sweeping. Remember I talked about that earlier?
Yeah.
They went and they were sweeping up the cabins and they were aerosolizing the dust. Well, the mice, in their urine, they excrete hantavirus. And they came down with another pneumonia-like disease of unknown etiology that had a fatality rate of nearly 100% at first.
Wow.
If you came down with it. Then they found out a treatment for it and actually found at the University of New Mexico Health Science Center came up with a treatment for it. Now they've got some pretty supportive treatment for it. But they originally thought it was just in the Four Corners. And now they've done genetic studies, they've got it all over the place. Right? But the interesting part about weather patterns is what had happened. The CDC sent up a bunch of investigators to figure out what was going on with this virus, where did it come from, what's the reservoir, why has it just shown up? Okay? And they looked around, they tracked a bunch of animals, they took samples here, there, and everywhere else. And they were talking to the elders, the Navajo elders, and they were talking to them about it to get a historical perspective. And they said, oh yeah, we had a really rainy spring. And the CDC guys go, well, what does that have to do with it? The more you rain, the more grass grows. The more grass grows, the more mice you have. But they said, oh yeah, it's been happening forever. So the Native American, the elders, I'm trying to think of anyone in particular, but the elders, the Native American, the Navajo tribe, they've known about it for years. They've known about it forever. Oh yeah, every time you get a big rainy season, you get a bloom of mice, and you get more mice, you get more hantavirus. So they're like, duh. Okay, contributing factors, this is a big one, guys. Modern transportation, Zika, chikungunya, West Nile encephalitis. All these are spread all over the world. Insect vectors, again, Aedes aegypti. Ecological disaster, war, expanding human settlement. The more we move into the forest and rainforest, the more we're going to come into contact with what? The more possible diseases out there, right? Coccidioidomycosis. Animal control measures, Lyme disease. Where is Lyme disease right now? What part of the country?
Force, like,
But where? Forests all over. Nope. Where did it start? Anybody know? Northeast. Good. Northeast, New England, northeast. That forest up there, where the deer ticks were mainly. Now it is spread all the way out. It's going to be down the south pretty soon. It's coming this way. All right, contributing factor, public health failure, diphtheria. What happened in Haiti a few years ago? Before Haiti just gets hammered all the time. But what was a really bad one they had? Not the hurricane, you remember? The earthquake. Haiti had a really bad earthquake. It knocked out all their infrastructure. The UN sent in people to help. A guy from Pakistan brought a little friend with him. And they had a huge cholera outbreak because the water supply was damaged. What about bioterrorism? Is that a concern?
Yeah,
You guys worried about bioterrorism?
yeah.
I wouldn't be, that scared me more than anything else. You don't have to do too much to do anything. You gotta get down a couple more classes, you could do it, right? You work in a lab, you could put genes in something, couldn't you? I could do it. Well, gee, I'll probably get arrested this afternoon.
Will there be a chance that they might spread it back into their?
Well, that's why some people don't like it, because it's always a chance it could backfire on you.
Yeah.
But now, what you do is you make sure that you've got a vaccine for it first.
Mm.
So now, biological weapons have been outlawed by the United Nations. But of course, they found how many labs in the Soviet Union collapsed that were doing bioterrorism research? I think 20 or something like that. We have USAM right here, United States Army Medical Research Center, which works on trying to develop treatments and preventative measures for bioterrorism. But whenever you do that, you're also probably doing
creating something.
I don't think we would use it. I mean, we got bigger and better things. But it's a concern. The concern is in the knowledge and the equipment to start making some of these things is getting more and more available. It doesn't take much to learn how to put some genes into something. And if you can take an organism that's highly virulent, highly infectious, and you can put some other genes into it and make it much more pathogenic and deadly, what have you just done? You just made a bioweapon easy. Take smallpox. Smallpox is highly infectious, or a disease like smallpox, airborne. Take a few of the genes in out there that cause hemorrhagic fever, put them in a very easy transmissible virus, and you just made one. The other bioterrorism is just not that hard. That's the scary part. You probably have Homeland Security. Epidemiological. Okay. Descriptive epidemiology is careful tabulation of data collected concerning diseases, record location, the time of the case of the disease, collect patient information. And just know what the index case is. What is the index case? The first one of a particular outbreak is going to be an index case. Where did this whole thing start? Now, for AIDS, what was the AIDS index case? Anybody know? No, the index case where they thought in the U.S. So you have
Oh,
kind of
no.
weird, you have patient zero, which was actually the very first person ever catch it. But index cases, you can have more than one sometimes. They overlap, but index case, so we had an index case for the El Paso, for the U.S. outbreak. Anybody know who it was from the
Was
movie?
that Parisian airline stewardess?
Yeah, the British Canadian airline steward.
Yeah.
Now, they thought that his route went from Africa to New York to San Francisco. Where did the big outbreaks happen up?
San Francisco.
New York and San Francisco, and a small one in LA. Turns out later they did some genetic testing now. It doesn't look like he was the index case after all. Who was this right here? Quick. Who? Snow, good. You got on the streets, Oxford Street? Come on, people. All right, analytical epidemiology, just want to go through these real quick. Analytical is going to be what? Seeks to determine the probable cause, mode of transmission, and modes of prevention. Once you know that, you can start doing what? Once you know what's causing it, how is it spread, and ways to prevent it, you can start implementing preventive measures, right? What were the preventive measures for HIV? What were they?
Awareness for one thing.
Awareness, but awareness is part of what are the preventive measures after awareness?
You know, like condoms, like learning.
Condom use and abstinence, right? Those are the only two things they can do at that point, right?
Yeah.
These are retrospective, means you're looking backwards. Okay, experimental epidemiology is just going to be things like Koch's postulate. Just know the three of them, guys. I'm not going to go into this too much. This I just added this morning. So, hospital-acquired infections result from microorganisms in the hospital environment already. Weakened status of the host. If you're in the hospital, you're going to be what? You're a little immunocompromised. I don't care no matter what, right? Chain of transmission in the hospital, and that's a compromised host. An individual whose resistance to infection is impaired by disease, therapy, or burns. All right. Exogenous, go over these. Exogenous just means where? Pathogen acquired from the healthcare environment. That means you didn't bring it with you, you caught it from the hospital. Endogenous means what?
Pathogen or-
It was already there, you put me on steroid therapy, now I just had a what? Flare up of some hepatitis, so they just put me on steroid therapy, okay? Iatrogenic is what? We already went over this one, guys.
It happens like when you get an infection from a surgery or something
Right.
like something has to be done to you.
So a big one I would use, I always like to use is somebody, if you're getting a colonoscopy and they nick your colon, and you get what?
Infection or
An infection inside your intraperitoneal cavity, that would be what? Iatrogenic. And we know that super infections are usually antimicrobial drugs reduce competition from some resident microbiota. It's not a secondary infection, right? It's a super infection. It's already there. And again, right here, requires aggressive control measures. You should know this. Hand washing is the most effective way to reduce the dose of colon infections. NIH had an outbreak. I think it was NIH in the hospital. I think it was ERE, vancomycin-resistant enterococcus. It took them a year to get it locked down. And any y'all going to nursing, it's a pretty good job in nursing called infection control nurses. And their job is to do what?
look for mistakes and
Keep all this from happening.
yeah.
All right, now I'm not gonna ask you worry about this. But right here, principal sites of hospital-acquired infections, UTIs, incision sites, low respiratory infections, high mortality rates. You get a bad pneumonia, you're in the hospital, you got a good chance of doing what? Not making it out. Okay. Gastrointestinal infections, C. diff, we'll go over that. Septicemia, bacteremia, and other. All right, again, I just looked at some of these right here. Right here. Microorganisms involved in HAIs, percentage of total infections, percentage resistant to antibiotics. Wow, there's only 3 that aren't. What are they? That's a fungal infection, a urinary tract infection. Who cares? It's gonna hurt for a while, right? And a fungus will take care of that. C. diff, this is not true, this is old data. So you can mark that one out, there is now drug resistant C. diff out there. And what's this one? Coagulation negative, that one's my guy. Didn't resist the antibiotics. I would be surprised if that's not incorrect either. Huh, it's pretty old data. 2014, that's when the book came out. How old do you think the data is? The book came out in 2014, how old do you think the data is? Well, at least a couple, maybe even more than that. So this could be getting close to 7 years of old data. All right, control, again, I already put that in there. This is what you guys will talk about right here. Universal precautions. You will get this training when you guys get into hospitals, clinics, or anywhere. Anybody who works in there should have already gone through these. You work in a lab, anywhere else. They're just basic minimum practices. We actually should be doing what? Universal precautions in this lab, right? Okay, transmission-based precautions, supplemental contact, I'll let you guys teach you that. When you guys get there, let you guys go through that training, I can put that on the test. This you need to know. Sharing of data among public health organizations, local, state, national, global level, share information concerning diseases. The United States Public Health Service is the big umbrella one. National Public Health Agencies and the CDC are underneath that. NIH is probably underneath that. Maybe a branch of that. Any of the health things, the national ones are underneath that. What is our local one called? You all should know this.
Our local branch.
What is a local health, your local health agency? I mean, teaching, they probably not health. We got probably after this, right? What do you think? It used to be called El Paso City County Health Department, but I think they've gotten rid of it. May just be the El Paso Health Department or the City Health Department. I don't know. That's your local one. That's who you report to first. They report to who in the state of Texas?
CDC.
Yeah?
They don't report to the CDC.
Nope. They'll go up, they'll go to state level first, and then from the state level, it usually goes up to CDC after that. TDH, Texas Department of Health, that's the state level organization. Then you've got the CDC, and then from the CDC, you go up to the what? WHO. Of course, that's a weird thing, because the WHO is very what? Problem, it's a very good organization, don't get me wrong. Coordinates public health efforts worldwide, but when you've got different countries trying to work together, it gets very what? It gets very political and things like that, and the WHO is very, so this is gonna be broader things. They try really hard, but they just have a lot of problems. They'll have one country will get mad at another country, so they're not gonna let them share their data, or they're not gonna let them come in and help stop a disease that may come into their country, or somebody may do something else that they don't like, so it's very tough.
It's like that we saw.
Huh?
It's like that we saw the AIDS. The guy gave the
Yeah.
French guy or something.
Well, yeah, that was a past year, but there's one group in Africa where two neighboring states got mad at each other, and so they just kind of quit cooperating with each other, and they're trying to stop an epidemic between the two, and it's like, come on, guys. But it happens everywhere, you've got egos. If you watch the other Ebola one, you got the European doctors go down to Africa, and they start trying to tell the African doctors how to do their job, and that's what I said, the African doctors are like, you know, we're gonna do what we wanna do, so it just gets tougher. All right, I'm not gonna worry about that. All right, guys, just want to get you that. Probably out of 10 Wednesday.
Oh, oh. What?